Upgrades.
Hey, it's Jorge giving you a quick review and exclusive of a Tribeca film that completely blew my socks away. This to me was one of my favorite films that I saw at Tribeca. It just hit me very different. And this film is called The Wolf, the Fox, and the Leopard. The synopsis of this film is: when a girl raised by wolves is found in the woods, she must learn to forge her own path as those around her try to exploit her and for their own purposes. And this is one of those films that you read the synopsis and you're like, oh, I've kind of seen this film before. Like I get it. I kind of get what to expect. And the more you're into this film, the more you get kind of sucked into this world, and you don't even realize how long you've been watching this film and how long each chapter of this movie is. And I think that goes to show how beautifully it was directed. And this was written and directed by David Verbeek. But it's really phenomenal when you see a film and you just kind of get completely lost in it and completely engrossed by everything that's happening. The main character, obviously, Jessica Reynolds plays it, and she does such a phenomenal job going from this animalistic, creature that you find into a woods into, for better lack of terms, being put in a cage, to not being in a cage, to being kind of free and learning English, trying to understand the world that's getting put before her, and then even going a step further into getting thrown into the world. And without doing any spoilers, and I think that's what's going to make this movie hard, because each section of it is just so beautifully done. And the first section is kind of when you first get introduced to her, and you have Lucas's character who starts going, he was gonna go on this trip with his girlfriend. Obviously he's fighting, and then he just kind of jumps out of the car, with all his stuff, and he's like, look, there's a road up ahead, I'm just gonna walk and do this by myself, like basically like peace out to her. And then that's when obviously like he encounters all these wolves and Jessica's character. But from there you kind of see how they find this girl. They I don't want to say they capture her, because that sounds so weird, but they kind of put her in like this locked up facility, and trying to understand a little bit more about her. And you have these characters that are looking, like this doctor that's looking after her and trying to understand her and trying to kind of figure things out and slowly breaking through. But then you have like the fox and the leopard, who in a weird way break in and, I guess you can say, rescue her out of here. And they basically start growing up and teaching her the ways of life, the way that the new world is. And they keep calling her the one. And obviously Nicholas Pinnock, who's the father figure, and Maria, who is the mother figure. You have this very strange and weird dynamic between both of them. And then you include obviously Jessica's character, and it just becomes this crazy like, environment slash culture of them kind of raising at the end of the day this animal, this this girl who's only knows these animalistic, situations, and they raise her to be somewhat human and somewhat normal, and being able to understand, things that are happening, and being able to, slowly get to understand more of her purpose. And there's this one part where, the father and mother, they go out, and they come back from their home, and they pick up they bring some cats, and it's weird because you almost see this animalistic, like, jealousy in terms of these animals, and you see her trying to get to kind of like have this human to animal relationship, and it's just it's very uniquely done, and it's kind of crazy to think that a cat would have a part of, such a large part in how this part of the movie is framed out. But you kind of end up seeing her kind of struggling, and by her being the one, like Jessica's character, trying to struggle, trying to understand her place and understand what's happening, and why she can't just go run wild in the forest. And at one point, she kind of leaves her room, and I guess it's in the middle of the night, and she sees, like, her father, I guess, talking with someone, and she doesn't kind of understand what's happening. And later on, she goes there, and she sees that there's another person there, kind of trapped in a way, and almost like a prisoner. And it's really neat because you see this kind of transformation from this girl who's only known one thing, and now you're getting told a completely different thing by another individual, and you're starting to question realities, and you're starting to question truths, and you're starting to question all these things. And at the end of it, like, this mother and father figure, it in a weird, it's almost like a two-man cult, I guess, would be the best way I can put it. But you kind of see all these weird parts of it, and then finally, you get to the point where she's freed, and without spoiling it, I'll just say where she's freed, and you kind of see this next evolution of her life where she is in society and in the real world, and how she functions within the real world, and what she does within it. And it's so fascinating because it's little things, like working as a cashier, how focused she is, and just understanding, because all this is new for her, like, very systematically going through and doing everything she needs to, and making sure she's crossing her T's, dotting her I's, so it's just been, it was very fascinating. And throughout all this, there's a lot of flashback type moments that happen, and when she's in the real world, there's something that happens that kind of opens up her life into, from being this private, secluded life to not so private anymore. And the way that was done was so, it was just so well done, the way it was introduced, and the way that she has to go through and figure out, what her character has to do and has to go through. I mean, the way that this movie ends is like, I'm still, like, thinking about this film, and I'm still, like, replaying it and think like this is one of those films that you you can rewatch it so many times and get so much out of it every single time you watch it, and something new from it. It's the replay value is there. The acting was phenomenal. Like I cannot speak highly enough to how well Jessica did in this film. Like it blows my mind away. Like just to truly sit back and see and just try to understand like what she had to go through mentally to put herself in this role, and how she was able to do it so successfully and so swiftly, and just it was just so good. um Obviously I can talk about this film for hours on end. It's almost, this is one of those films that I can see becoming one of those that you take at a college level course, where they want you to dissect certain characters or certain elements, and you can literally spend hours dissecting some of these relationships, some of these concepts, some of these theories that are in this film. Like this is one of those films that for me, and especially, getting shot out at Tribeca, like for me this was like a 10 out of 10. Like I would rewatch this film over and over again. This is one of those films that truly just like checked every box for me. Story was amazing, length was amazing. Like when the movie ended, you wanted more, and you just, everything about it was done so well. The way it was shot, the way it was, like the music, the sound in it's this is what films should be and should do. This is, once again, was one of these movies that I completely fell in love with at Tribeca. Let me know if you guys saw this. For obviously for me, this was my top film that I saw at Tribeca. I just completely loved it. This was called The Wolf, the Fox, and the Leopard. But let me know if you guys saw it. Let me know what you guys thought about it. But as always, this is Jorge, and we'll see you next time. Peace.